back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break, watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show, get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
It's Bass You Go. You know, we didn't have that back then. And dude, it just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
Welcome to Bass University Live, everybody. It's just getting to the end of May. Fishing is exploding everywhere around the country, and I hope you're getting out and enjoying it. Big tournament coming up this week. We've got the elites that are going to be taking place this week down at Lake Pickwick. And big congratulations to our boy Patrick Walters, won the NPFL. Guess the end of last week. I think that was a Friday deal. So congratulations to Patrick over there. We're gonna dive into fishing this time of year, which is happening there. It's going to be happening at Pickwick. It's happening at Guntersville. Anything on the Tennessee River chain, anything where you have offshore fishing, ledge fishing. We're going to be diving into that, how to be successful, how to catch fish under heavily pressured situations. And this is the Dean's List. We're going to be doing an angler spotlight today with Nick Hatfield, who is just tearing it up out on the Major League Fishing trail. He's right now he's leading the Rookie of the Year race, and he's in 10th place in the Angler of the Year stats. And he's really did a nice job recently at Guntersville, took a second place finish down there, doing exactly what we're going to be talking about today, adjusting to conditions, figuring out how to, there we go. You guys can probably hear me a lot better now. Figuring out how to make those fish bite when there's a lot of fishing pressure, when the fish start grouping up like that, it gets tough when they're not pulling current through the reservoir. There's all kinds of tips, and techniques that we're going to be diving into with Nick. He's young. A lot of you guys are hearing his name maybe for the first time because he's only 28 years old. He's trying to make his way in the world of professional fishing. So we're going to be talking about that too. So if you're a guy that wants to take a stab at this is a great show for you. You'll be able to ask questions to Nick. We're going to see where he's at in the sponsorship hunt. The revenue hunt, right? That's one of the big obstacles here in professional fishing. It's not cheap. It's kind of an expensive proposition to get started, especially as a young person. So we're going to be talking about that. He comes from the college fishing world where he got his start. A lot of you guys are doing that too. It's becoming so popular. It's so big. A lot of people that are Bass U subscribers are getting ready for next year, entering the college ranks coming up in the fall of 2022. So a lot of really great, interesting stuff, fun stuff that we're going to be talking to Nick about. But in particular, we're going to be diving in Bass U style, figuring out what he did to be successful. Guntersville is just one of the most heavily pressured lakes on the planet. And at a big-time tournament with super talented anglers, those schools of fish get pounded. How are you going to downsize? How are you going to, what are you going to do to make those fish trigger? And he was able to do that. So we're going to be diving into that with Nick Hatfield today. So look forward to doing that, guys. As always, we're going to have a Facebook like and share contest. You're watching us over on Facebook. Make sure you do that. We've got a great culling system from TH Marine as part of our kit today, as well as a prop nut. I see a cool Rapala DT6 and a couple of VMC hooks. So we got a great, cool gift pack for you guys. So if you're hanging out over on Facebook, all you got to do is like it and share it, and we'll enter you into that contest. We're going to be giving that away here shortly. And we also have a grand prize today, Riz.
That's right, Pete. We do have a grand prize. We're giving away a Doomsday 47 series fishing rod on today's show. So that's
Awesome.
That's a big time prize, and we're going to be giving that away to one of our lucky Bash U subscribers. Guys, right now is a great time to get signed up. If you're not already a part of the program, just use the code BULive30 and you'll get entered in for a chance to win today's grand prize. We're going to pull something from the show, a little tidbit, so you got to be paying attention. Make sure you got your pencil sharpened and be taking notes on the show. Pete, we just had a little bit of a Zoom glitch, so we're working on getting ourselves back in right now.
Okay.
So we'll be bringing Nick in momentarily. But we also got some other stuff going on right now, Pete. We have the Ike Foundation Tournament is going on.
I know you're excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Ike Foundation Tournament's going on this weekend. Mm-hmm. We're excited to have it back again on the Chesapeake Bay, which right now is prime time. So if you are in the northeast part of the country, you should get signed up. Come fish this tournament. I mean, for the entry fee, you're not going to get into a better event. You can take home a brand new bass cat if you win this
with a Yamaha.
Event. Yeah, with a Yamaha outboard. So this is fully loaded.
It's really it's kind of cool for our part of the country. There's not any tournaments giving away a boat and motor package like that for first place. So it's really cool. It goes to a great cause. Go over to ikefoundation.org. Get yourself signed up and come on over and have some fun. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to be there. We're all going to be there. The whole Bash University crew is going to be there hanging out, trying to win that boat and try to catch those big fish down on the Chesapeake, because it is the time of year. The weather's been warm. There's all kinds of things going on down there at the bay that are going to make it a lot of fun. So plan your weekend wherever you are. Come on up, drive up. It's a program that is designed to help kids in fishing. It gets rods and reels into the hands of kids that might never get a chance to go fishing, and that's what we do at Ike Foundation. We're happy to support it here at the Bash University. So hopefully you'll join us. Just don't catch any more weight than me.
That's right. Well, that's a tough thing to do, Pete. You're a tough one to overcome on the Chesapeake. Not many people have more time down there than you do. That's for sure.
Well, it's tough to win, and that's the problem down on the Chesapeake, because it is everybody's. The competitive, the guys that are competitive that day are going to have around 20 pounds, and you need to get that big one or two to get yourself up over the hump and get into the low 20s, 21, 2, and 3 pounds.
That's right. It is. I mean, it's just chock full of absolute killers on the bay. I mean, it's you think you got a good bag, and you look to your left, look to your right, and you're saying, oh, crap, this guy could easily weigh in 24 pounds today, easily weigh in 23. So, but it's a great time to be out there.
It is frustrating watching all you guys catch. Was it last year you and I fished right next to each other?
Yes, in the BFL.
Oh, that was the BFL. It wasn't the Ike Foundation. But that's crazy. I like it because it's big, giant. It's like 25 square miles of grass flats.
Yeah.
So you get to see everybody else catching them, and when you're not, it's frustrating. But when it's your turn, it's kind of cool because you're feeling pretty good. You're catching them, and the other guys aren't.
Yep.
But we'll see how it goes. It's always a lot of fun, a lot of great prizes, including the big one. But man, we're all there for the same reason. It's a great cause. So get yourself together and get out there. And I'll also, guys on Bash University, we're always launching amazing new content, new instructional stuff. And Drew Cook is up this week, deep and shallow swim jigs. Now, a lot of people are fishing swim jigs shallow, and it's a really popular way to catch them, especially in heavily pressured situations. Drew Cook has proven to be an amazing teacher. He is an amazing sight fisherman, but talks about how he fishes a swim jig deep. Why not? Why aren't others doing that? Right?
That's a great question. It's such an effective bait. Why not throw it?
Why not? It catches big ones. It catches them consistently. It catches heavily pressured fish. And Drew is teaching us about that's coming up this week.
Yep.
And there's some really great other stuff that's really going to apply to what's happening in the world of fishing. And we got one we go from a new guy, Drew Cook, to one of the all-time vets, one of the best teachers at Bass University, John Murray, talking about drop shotting, in-depth drop shot approach, and that
was a really good seminar.
I always is for me.
Fortunate enough to be in the room for that one. That was one of our Alabama shoots this year, and that was captivating. The way he thinks about the game, because I mean, he came over from
California,
West
Coast guy, and
then he applied it in wherever the heck like New Mexico or something crazy. It's probably not Arizona, Arizona, and now he does it on tour all over the country. So it's. Guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to drop shots. It's a whole big world out there.
It really is. And when you've been doing it as long as John has, the things that you've learned and the messaging that you can convey. Yeah. If you're not studying at Bass University, you're missing out. Get over there. Get yourself signed up over at bassu.tv. And a lot more. Clabian Johns is coming up. Concave face popping frogs versus pointy nose frogs. He's a sleeper, very, very intricate angler, great teacher, and, of course, Randy Howe. And the list goes on. All these will be coming up in weeks to come at Bass University, and we'll keep you guys posted as all that stuff comes out. But are we going to take a break?
Yeah. We also have Alex with us here today. Hey. Everybody on the screen can see we got him back in the Zoom. We lost him for a second, but we got him back. What's going on, Alex? Better turn his mic on.
For a little bit while I got kicked out, but I'm back in, ready to go. Excited to hear from Nick and ready to get this show on the road.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a little twinge of COVID there, real size Alex.
Or it was just a really good Memorial Day weekend, one or the other.
I think Rich nailed it on the head. I got back from a bachelor party in Nashville last night and still recovering from it a little bit, but nothing that Bass you can't help me fix. I've been plugged in and, driving down there. It's great to have the app with the podcast. It makes the drive go a lot nicer, but the talking's been a little rough. It was a good weekend and excited to get back out on the water next weekend.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Man, I think you need to keep that voice, Alex. That's like your sultry, sexy.
Sounds like he's got a little bit of Livacy in his voice right now.
He does.
A little bit of angry growl. Come on, Lake Fork.
I like it. Well, it's great to have you with us. Alex is going to be handling a lot of our IM, so on Facebook, YouTube, on our IM board. If you have questions for any of us or Nick, make sure you put them there. Alex will make sure you guys get through, and we'll have your question live on the air best we can. And in the meantime, we are brought to you by Tackle Direct Studios, and we are glad to be here. And I want you guys to go check out their amazing products and customer service and shipping that gets out and gets there on time.
That's right.
You're going to love these guys. Go check them out. And right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Nick Hatfield.
Why bass boats for sale? Our mission is to be the premier bass boat outlet for listings and buyers. We believe if customers can't find it, it doesn't exist. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, it's simple. We give boats exposure so buyers shop and sellers list. BassBoatForSale.com.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strong here in Sanford, North Carolina. From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Why bass boats for sale?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bass University Live. Really glad that you're with us today. We're going to be having Nick Hatfield on making waves over at Major League Fishing right now, currently first in the Rookie of the Year race and holding 10th in the Angler of the Year race. Really tearing it up, getting some top 10s and some tough competition, and trying to make his way in the world of professional fishing. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. Also comes from the college bass fishing ranks. So you guys want to hang in there for that. We got Nick Hatfield. We're brought to you by Tackle Direct. We're here in Tackle Direct Studios. Guys, if you're part of Bass U and you haven't seen it yet, go over to our members benefits. I loved watching the AquaView commercial. AquaView really helps you understand and interpret what your sonar is teaching you. And you want to go check that out and get an AquaView, and especially get it through us if you're a subscriber. It's 25% off AquaView products. So get over to the members benefits, get one of those underwater cameras, and you will be enlightened. You will be able to see all the things you're missing. So with that, if you're watching Facebook, like us and share us, and pay attention. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, giving away a fishing rod today, courtesy of Doomsday Tackle, and appreciate that. Appreciate you guys being part of the program. Is Nick ready to come in?
He is.
Yep,
we got him.
With no further ado, the man that's winning the Rookie of the Year race right now, just crushing it, Nick Hatfield. How are you today, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
Man, we're psyched. We talk with everybody, all the movers and shakers in the sport of fishing, and it's really exciting to see someone that's really young, coming up, making waves like yourself, doing so well. So we're excited to talk to you. It's got to be thrilling to be sitting in the spot you're in right now.
Yeah, man, for sure. Coming into this year, I just wanted to, cut checks, just try to, continue to learn and put myself out there, and to see some success already this year so far, it's great. It's what I wanted to do for a long time. So just, super blessed and thrilled that I'm doing good and catching them, just hoping that I can keep the ball rolling.
Well, you're showing the chops in the sport that I think you will be able to keep it rolling. And we're going to dive in. You just had a great finish at Guntersville, and we're going to go get into Bass U on that in just a minute and dive into the details on how you made that happen. But you're making this happen. You came from the college fishing ranks, and I just, a lot of that. This is getting to be so popular. A lot of guys are coming up through there, and they want to follow in your footsteps. They want to do what you're doing, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. Tell me about your college experience. Where did you go? Where did you attend?
Yeah, so I went to a small private school. It's Tusculum College here in Greenville, Tennessee, where I live. And, when I got there, they had a fishing club, but they didn't do anything as far as like fish tournaments or do the competitive side of it. So I got small group of guys together that like to fish there, put out some flyers, and we were able to get a team started. And then from there, you know, just with a little bit of help from the school, we started to fish some tournaments. And before you knew it, I'd spent 4 years there fishing. And, I really do believe that my success now started there. Just, the experience and the time that I put in traveling the country, fishing those college tournaments. I mean, you learn so much just traveling the country and hitting different lakes at different times. But, for anybody that wants to do it, if you don't have a team at your school, you can start one, and it's not a hard process. I mean, I'm a country boy from East Tennessee, and I was able to put it together. So
that's awesome. Well, you put your team together. Were you the coach? Like, did the school get involved with anybody to help you guys along?
We actually had a professor there. His name's Jason Jones, and he's become a good friend of mine now. He loves to fish, and he was like all about it, because we had to have an advisor. We had to have a club advisor, and he stepped up to be that man. And, he really helped us, as far as getting all the paperwork and, the BS and stuff that comes with it, just to get it pushed through and started. And, after we got him on, it was basically just a matter of finding guys with boats, because not every college kid's got a boat. Right. And, I went and just put flyers all over campus, and, within a couple of weeks, I had 3 or 4 guys call me and say, hey, we want to be a part of this. And it was pretty cool how it came together. And, now those guys that I fished with in college are some of my best friends, and we still fish all the time and hang out, and, it's great. So
that's terrific. Tell me about your strategy, like in college, because I'm curious now you created this, and I know some of the other colleges are probably a little bit further ahead, but I'm curious about your preparation. Did you have practices? How did you prepare the team and yourself for the college competitions?
Yeah, so most colleges nowadays, they have a lot of guys, and they have to do qualifying tournaments.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, see, it's about like golf. I played golf in high school, and you had to be in the top of the qualifying rounds to just get to the actual match itself. And a lot of colleges have to do that with, them having 12, 15, 20 plus guys there that want to fish. But where we only had like 4 or 5 that, had a boat and it could actually go, then that's just what we sent. But then, a part of it in the strategy was another guy, Corey Neese, he fishes the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. Me and him wanted to fish together a lot. Because we were a strong team together, and it just worked out best sometimes that we split up, because he had a boat and I did too, where some of the other guys didn't. Right.
It's hard to get the guys on the water.
Yeah.
So you went from the college program, and that's now you're stepping out into the real world, and it's expensive. Right? Entry fees cost a lot. Travel costs a lot. There has to be, it kind of hits you in the face to even enter into these tournaments. So you're 28 now, so you've been out there battling it for a few years now, but it had to be really hard at first to even get involved in these tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. Straight out of college, I knew I wanted to try to fish the Opens, Toyotas, whatever. I wanted to try and get to, the pro level that I'm at now and further. But I was working a just 8 to 5 job. I was in the accounting department at a company here in Greenville called Forward Air. And, all my time off that I got and the money I was making, I was just burning through it trying to fish the Opens. And I cut some checks and it helps, but, after you spend a couple years, I think I fished 2018. I fished 4 of the Eastern Opens, and I just barely missed out on the elites that year, which, me and Brian were talking yesterday. I do believe that now that, that's a blessing in disguise that I didn't, because I don't know that I was ready at that point. And, for everything else that's, developed for me, it's worked out. But I missed the elites. I didn't weigh in a limit on my home lake on Douglas day one, and it cost me. I really do think I could have qualified that year, and then 2019, I decided I was going to fish all 8. That was when they were in the 2 divisions instead of 3.
Right.
And I fished. I top 10 the first one on the Harris chain, and then I had a bomb in the second one on Toledo Bend, and then Smith Lake, I think I finished top 20. So I had a decent season going, and then I ran into the issue of, oh, well, I'm running out of money, I'm broke, and I didn't actually end up. I don't think I fished the last 2 that year. It was Oneida and somewhere, I think, Grand Lake. I didn't make it to those, and that was just a decision that I had to make, which was a tough one for sure, because when you want to do something like this, it kills you to not be able to. I mean, like, you've heard Brandon Polnick and a lot of these guys say, like, you have to love it so much, to do this. Like, and I really do. I love it with all my heart, and I put so much time and work into it. So at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't go. I'm broke. So I decided not to. And then all of 2020, I didn't fish anything. I think I fished an open on my home lake on Cherokee in October. Didn't do any good. The home lake curse kills me around here, it seems. But, going into 2021, in 2020, I decided I was going to start a guttering business. So I quit my job and I started hanging gutters. And, I got a business degree, and then I had some help, of course. Corey Neese and his dad, Jimmy Neese, which both fish with me now. They have a roofing company, and, they both were like, yeah, you should start a guttering business, like there's good money in it, and there's flexibility where you can do this type of stuff. And, with their help and just putting in the work and stuff, I created something that I could fall back on and something that could make me money to get me back in it. And I wanted to spend at least, 3 to 5 years doing that and building it up, getting it right. That way I could. But, it seems like I jumped in at the right time, because I've been super busy since I started. I've been able to, just hire people. And now I've got it to the point to where I can go fish these tournaments, and when I'm gone, I've still got guys working for me. And if I had any advice for anyone that's coming out of college that wants to do something like that, give yourself some sort of a plan. Give yourself something that you can fall back on, that you've got working at the house while you're still trying to get out there and compete and afford all of it. Because without sponsors and everything, which I just growing up thought, well, I'll win one and I'll have sponsors all over me. But, that doesn't work that way, which I haven't won anything yet. But, it's still the sponsor side of things. It's tough, and there's a lot to learn there too. But I do think that if I had some advice for some young guys or young anglers, I would say, give yourself some sort of a plan, you start a business, find a job that will give you that flexibility, and, stick with it. And, you put in the hard work and the time, and just follow your dreams, and you'll get to where you want to be, like I've been able to. And I'm super blessed to be here and to be doing this. But I do feel like that, the guttering business was huge for me.
Well, that's great. It's great, and I know it's a lot of work. Right, you're doing double duty, but so often what happens is running out of money. That is the death of a professional career, and you're in that space, right? You're trying to make that splash so you can attract sponsorships, but you haven't quite got that enough time under your belt yet, and wins aren't there yet, and so you gotta be able to weather the storm. And you're doing a nice job, and I'm sure we've got people watching that are thinking about this. So I want to throw it over to Alex. What kind of questions are you seeing coming across?
Absolutely, Pete. We have a lot of good questions coming in, especially, about making it pro and advice you might have for young anglers, Nick. And this is a good one coming in from Blake Bailey. He says he's 24, he's doing the BFLs as a co, and he really wants to work his way through the ranks to either the pro level, the BPT, or the elites, one of them eventually. And he wants to know some tips you might have for him on when he should move to the next level, or for when he should make the jump from a co-angler to the front of the boat.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, Blake. I mean, I would say what I was always told is, just spend as much time on the water as you possibly can. When I'm not working, hanging gutters, when I'm not out, traveling or with my wife or something, I'm on the water. I'm fishing all the time. But, I would say if it's making the jump from a co to a boater, spend some time fishing as a co. And when you start seeing some success as a co and you really feel like you've learned as much as you can as a co, then make that jump. Or is it if it's you're already fishing as a boater and you want to think, well, I want to fish a Toyota series or an open, see some success at the house first, because fish all the local tournaments you can, fish the BFLs. And when you start seeing some high finishes, I mean, I'm not even necessarily saying you have to win, because I've yet to win a BFL here at the house. I've had some really high finishes, and I've had some really high finishes in some team tournaments, but I've yet to win any of those here at the house. But I do think that it's important to see some success, see yourself up there at the top in the competition. And then, that for me was like, hey, I think I can compete with these guys, and it gave me the confidence to make the jump.
Great question, Blake, and great answer. And just keep learning. By the way, Bass University is a great place to be able to get a lot of that intel, because some of the greatest anglers in the world are giving it and it's available at your fingertips. So go get that checked out. Thanks, Alex, for passing that along. And man, you're off to a tear. And let's go after it. We're killing it. As far as I'm concerned, man, you're top 10 in these major events that are really hard to do, and you're having some really good success with it, and off to 10th place in the Angler of the Year. But the big one that really caught our attention is you had a blistering Lake Guntersville finish just recently, and doing it on a way ledge fishing where everybody's kind of exposed to ledge fishing, but you were able to figure out an amazing way to get to the top. And I'd like to dive into that Lake Guntersville strategy on what you did down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, let's start at the beginning. The fish were post spawn, right? They were just making their way out to the ledges. You had to find schools of fish with such a everybody's using advanced sonar technology. Is that a strength of yours? Is that how you found those groups out there?
It is. Fishing here at home on Douglas, we have the same deal. It's a lot of ledge fishing in this time of year, and that played a part in it for me for sure. And then just the time that I've been able to spend on both Guntersville and Pickwick, I've grown up fishing them a lot. But I spent a lot of time out there graphing. We only get 2 days of practice, and you've got to cover so much water and stay open-minded the whole time. I actually spent probably 75% of my practice shallow, because there's been so many times that I've been on the Tennessee River trying to fish deep in May, and it burned me. So believe it or not, I spent 75% of my practice up shallow looking for brim beds and just grass that had some fish in it, stuff like that.
Right.
As practice went on, I found a few groups early on in practice. I didn't throw on them. The more people that see you there, the less chance you've got of getting it. I mean, you really got to sneak around out there. You've got to be careful what you do. You've got to be careful what you turn around on and idle again sometimes. I mean, you really got to be sneaky about it these days, because, everybody's got the graphs. They've all got the technology, and most guys, especially in the field I'm fishing against, they know how to use it. So, being real sneaky is key. But I think what helped me was day one of practice, there wasn't much out there. They didn't pull that much current that day. And I think a lot of guys spent a lot of time the first day graphing, and they didn't see much. And I'm not saying they didn't graph again day two, but day two, about lunch of practice, I slid out and checked a couple places, and I was like, dang, they weren't here yesterday, but there's quite a few here now. And then I just started that afternoon just running places, rechecking stuff. And I was surprised that there were a lot more fish out there. And it's crazy how quick that can happen. But, the current affects that, because fish will pull out to a place and then there'll be no current for a week and you won't see them out there much throughout the summer. but especially in late May when a lot of fish are post spawn and they're getting ready to go. I mean, it can happen just at the drop of a hat. I mean, it's so quick sometimes. And I do think that happened day 2 of practice. I think a lot of fish got out there because, you know, we had several days in a row there where it was in the 80s. It was super hot. And I think that played a part in me having some success there, was because a lot of guys may not have rechecked places or just, you know, thought, well, the deep bite's going to be tougher than what we thought it was. So, you know, even going out day 1 of the tournament, I wasn't sure if I was going to be shallow or deep because I didn't make many casts on the fish. I marked them and I knew what I had found. And I said, well, I'll start deep, and if it works, then I'll stick with it. If not, I'll go shallow. And it worked out. So
that's really an interesting assessment of it, because what do you figure that these fish are doing? Like when they're not pulling water, they're hard to see maybe on your sonar. Are they suspended? Are they moving up shallow? And they kind of know when that water's getting pulled, they make their move. Is that kind of what's going through your head?
Yeah. I think, you know, it depends on the spot you're actually fishing. I mean, sometimes the fish will be set up on a shell bar or something right on the main river close to some grass. And I think when there's no current, I think they like to just meander around up in the grass. I think some of them do suspend and they just get more spread out. Whereas if you had a lot of current, you know, you'll have 50 of them right there on top of each other. And it's hard to miss them with a cast at that point. But I do think that with the lack of current, I think they just kind of spread out. They do their own thing. And then as soon as they start pulling water, they'll all get back at the same spot, and they're just sitting there waiting on stuff to wash by that they can eat.
Yeah, that's really an amazing observation. Riz, especially this one. Like, we fished grass beds out offshore where we're at, and apparently we're not allowed to turn around and re-idle over anything we find out there, Riz. We're going to be giving it away.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head with it there. It's like, you know, the more pressure these bodies of water are starting to get, and, you know, the fish are they're flat out getting smarter. Yeah. You know, I think we experience that every year a little bit on our water on the Chesapeake. Like, you know, I honestly think they know the sound of a chatterbait from, you know, they don't have to be like right on top of it to know when it's coming once they start feeling that pressure. And like, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'll get a bite and then I'm like, all right, I want to know everything about this grass bed, and I'll take off idling and I'll just kind of shut it all off, you know, and then you don't get any more bites and say, oh, well, it only had one fish in it. Well, maybe not, you know, maybe you just shut them off yourself. So,
right. Plus you're drawing the attention of the other anglers, which is really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but it makes perfect sense. Tell me what you're seeing. Like, what you're looking at points and shell beds. You said that, but you're using a side imaging, I imagine, that you're using to pick off these schools of fish. But what does that look like for you, and what exactly are you looking for?
So basically, you know, to look for places like, you know, on Guntersville, it was a little bit different for me because I've spent so much time down there in the summer fishing. So I had a lot of waypoints from just past. And when it comes to those places that I already know, I can idle straight across the dots of where they should be. Because these fish, it's crazy that they do this, but they get in about the same places every year.
Isn't that the wildest thing?
And you would think that they wouldn't do that, especially with the pressure nowadays. But and there are places I'm sure they do get that are different from year to year. I mean, like, for example, at home on Douglas, the water fluctuates so much. You know, sometimes in late April, early May, when some start moving out, the water's still 10 foot low, and they might be, you know, 50 or 100 yards away on a place than they will be when the lake's at full pool. But as far as Guntersville, I just, the places I knew they were there, I could see them on down scan, or if they were a little bit off of it, then I'm just seeing them on side scan. And, you know, you'll just see it's hard to explain. If I had some pictures, I'd show them, but you know, you just see, like, sometimes you'll see shadows on the left or right side. And, you know, you can tell when they're really grouped up because you'll see a bunch, or, you know, sometimes they're a white dot if you have a really good picture. And you'll see, like, maybe, you know, 20 to 50 dots, white dots, or the shadows from the fish off to the side. And what I normally try to do is if no one's around and I can, really idle it and get to know what's laying there, then I'll put one waypoint on it and I'll try to idle it a couple more times to see which way the school is oriented. Because if you just idle across them a certain way, you might see 10 or 15 of the fish on down scan. But if the school is laying long ways and you idle perpendicular to it, you're only going to see just a handful of the group. And what I'll do is I'll actually idle until I figure out which way the school is set up, and I'll idle straight over them, and I'll put a waypoint on this end of the school, in the middle, and then on this end. And that way when you line up on it to make a cast, you sit down current, and when you make a cast, you're throwing all the way to the front of the school, and your bait is coming through all of the fish instead of throwing across them and only bringing your bait through 5 or 10 of them. That's really important. It's huge.
That's fascinating. That especially, a tribute to Guntersville to have that kinds of schools of fish, where you can mark them like that. That's, phenomenal. Now you're bringing your baits through them, and you're not fishing for them at practice. So because you don't want to be seen or you don't want to disturb those fish. So you're coming at these offshore fish with a lot of confidence in your offshore game. So we want to know what's that offshore game look like, man? What are these tools?
Yeah, so I brought some baits in here. So this was a huge player for me day one of the tournament. And this is just a Berkeley dredger, 25.5. It's a lavender shad. And you can tell, it's pretty noisy. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Heck, that's a loud bait.
This is not something that I'll make my first cast with. Something I'd make my first cast with would be like a Scottsboro Swimmer. Just a 5-inch swimmer. Mm-hmm. And just something a little bit more subtle than the crankbait.
What's the weight on that swimmer?
It's just a 3/4 ounce, and this is their new top hook swim bait. And I caught a lot of fish on it down there. They were biting it really good. But I'll either start with the swim bait or even a hair jig. And the reason I do that is because these fish, when you start fishing for them, sometimes, especially early on, they really want a crankbait and they'll eat it really good. But you still never know how many people have already found them and beat them up. So that's why I don't throw the crankbait in there first, because I've actually pulled in on schools before and thrown a crankbait and it just bust them up and scare them really. And, then you don't catch as many of them or get the bites that you might have if you started with something subtle and something like a hair jig or the swim bait. But once I've done that, if I get a bite or two, then I'll move on, because once they get fired up, as fast as you can throw this guy in there, you're getting bit every cast just about. And I caught some really big fish on this throughout that tournament. I think day one, almost every fish I weighed, except for one, came on the hair jig. The rest of them came on the crankbait. And I'm just throwing that on that Doomsday 7-Eleven medium heavy, 12-pound line, 12-pound sun line. And, making a long cast. A long cast is really important with the crankbait. Make sure you get it out there and get it down. Because I was only fishing for the most part in like 15 to 22 foot of water. And this crankbait will get to 22 foot really easy if you make a long cast. But, after you've caught a few on the crankbait, you'll notice like some of the live footage I went back and watched. I'd catch 3 or 4 on the crankbait and I'd be back there in the live well culling. And it'd take me a minute. And it's really important to get back in there as quick as you can while they're fired up. And I'd be culling and I'd stand back up and throw the crankbait back in there and I wouldn't get a bite. And that's when I would switch to a Neko Rig. And I'll show you guys here. Just throwing a Zoom Mag Finesse Worm and Plum. And I'll just Neko rigging it. Just take you a O-ring. Put it on there.
Yeah.
About a quarter of the way up the worm. Then I was using a 3/16 angler tungsten nail weight. You just shove it right in the end of it. I do like to use a little bit of super glue because sometimes when you hook them, they'll throw it, and then you're just going through weights like crazy.
They always throw it.
I was using was a Hayabusa trailer hook, the 929 worm. And this is a good trailer hook for spinner baits and chatter baits and whatever. But I really like it for the Nico rig. I really like the shape of the hook and the way that it's open. So, you know, it works really well. But I just run that hook right up through the worm like that, through the O-ring. And, man, when those fish when they would quit firing on that crankbait, I could throw this guy out there. And, you know, I just got bites like crazy on it. I mean, I felt like – and it wasn't until day 2 that I really started using this, because day 1 it happened so easy for me. I caught them on a crankbait and a swim bait and a hair jig. And then day 2, there was less current out there. And I'd pulled in on these schools and I'd thrown my hair jig, I'd thrown my swim bait, I'd thrown the crankbait, and I wasn't getting any bites, but I could still see them down there. I knew they were there. I just knew I was going to have to switch it up. So that's when I picked up the worm, and I went on to catch like a 5.5, a 4.5, and a 4.
That'll do.
In like 30 minutes. And I was like, you know, the light bulb went off. I was like, you know, this is something I'm going to be able to use that, you know, when those fish aren't firing real good, to get some good bites. But it, you know, it worked out really well for me. And a lot of guys like to throw just a regular stand-up shaky head, just a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 stand-up head,
right,
with a mag finesse worm, and that works too. It's a really good bait as well. But I think for me, just knowing that a lot of the field wasn't throwing it, you know, as finessey as I was, a lot of guys are slinging this out there, and anytime you can get something different in front of them, it's a good thing. And I do think that a lot of guys weren't doing this or using this as much, and they seem to like it. I caught a bunch of fish on it.
What is it about that plum on the Tennessee River chain, man? They always are biting that thing to pieces out on the ledges.
That plum's the deal. I catch a lot on a green pumpkin too, but the plum seems to be the color down there for sure.
They must have plum flavored shad that swim in the Tennessee River.
Like really good in Texas too, it seems like.
Yeah.
But
well, that's great. Switching over to that. Now, I want to ask you a couple questions, and I'm going to throw it over to Alex because I know we've got a lot of questions for you as well. But when you're culling, I notice when I'm culling in smallmouth, I get around giant schools of smallmouth, and I know you like the smallmouth fish too. But when you're culling and you release a fish back, I don't know. It's like they tell every other fish in the school, hey, that dude's up there fishing. It's a trick. Don't bite his lures. You know, they put out some kind of chemical or, you know, Aquaman type waves, and they tell all the other fish that something's going on. Do you think that happens with the largemouth you were culling down there? Do you think it turns the schools off?
I do. I think it happens some. You know, the old school guys that I used to fish with on Douglas, and you know, that like, they would always be like, don't throw it out over here. Throw it out as far as you can that way. You know, just throw it away from the boat. But, I mean, the fish is going to swim back down there. I do believe that, you know, you release some of them, and there's something about it. I don't know if the school knows that they've been caught, or I mean, like Riz said, I mean, they're so smart now, and they're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. But you have to be careful, you know, like even pulling in on fish, you know, since we have forward-facing sonar, I'll just pull in close to the waypoint, and I'll you know, ease up there and look and see if I can see them with live scope instead of just idling them and saying, oh, well, they're laying there. Because once you've idled them, I mean, you've already let them know that you're there. So I do think throwing them back, but you know, in a tournament like that where we can't keep 5 or 10 of them in the live one,
you gotta let them go.
I just throw them back and hope that it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Are you the forward facing sonar is, man, I thought it might even show it, you know, a little bit better. And I haven't been on a big school and used it in that regard, but you know, be be able to see the fish disband or suspend or change when you start releasing fish.
Yeah, it's interesting too that Nick said he goes in first with like the hair jig, or a bait that's maybe not going to disturb them, like the crankbait. Like you bring a big loud crankbait through there, and they've already been pressured and already been hit several times. I think part of it with when you let one go is that, like, obviously when you get the school fired up, they're all in competition for each other. They all want your bait. They're trying to be the next one that gets that meal. But that one goes back down there and it looks at your bait kind of sideways and is like, I can live without that. It's like, it makes them all think, I don't really need to bite that. So going in first with the finesse bait, where you're going to get them to bite, or they're more likely to bite even if they've been pressured, and then you come backdoor with the power bait, where once they're all already fired up, ready to go, that's juicy stuff right there.
It is juice because honestly, it's reverse strategy on what we've all been taught. It's like go in there with the power bait first, and then follow up with your cleanup lures, Nick. I think that right there might have separated you from the field.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy how much I had to change each day of the tournament. Like, day one I caught them with the power, like the crankbait and stuff. And then day two I caught most of my weight on the worm. And then like towards the tail end of day two, picked up spoon, just a 5-inch Nichols flutter spoon. And man, it seemed like I just started getting some better bites on it. And then the third and fourth day, I kept it in my hand, and I caught quite a few on it. I think the spoon and the worm was what got me through the third and fourth day. Is it seemed like I could watch them on live scope when I would reel the crankbait through the school. I could watch, you can feel it. You can feel the plug actually hit one, roll over it, and then you're watching it on live scope, and you can see there'll be 3 or 4 come in and just chase it all the way to the boat, and then you reel it up, and they'll just kind of come up with it to the trolling motor, and then they just won't ever hit it. So it's like, I do think that they get pressured to it, and they know. And until they're actually in that real good feeding mode, when they fire up, I think the crankbait, it's harder to get bit on it nowadays than it might have been 10, 15 years ago.
No, well, you also held up something that I want you to hold up again. That's a little flutter spoon.
Oh yeah,
that's not as big as a license plate, which a lot of guys are using. Talk to me about that little bait. It's white.
Yeah, white one. I like the chrome one and the gold one too. The gold's really good on Guntersville, but everybody's throwing the mag spoons nowadays. Like even guys in the tournament that I fished, they were catching them on it, and I caught some fish that week on it too. But it's just something I don't know. I guess you could say experience down there on Guntersville. I've been down there before and had my butt kicked with a little 5-inch flutter spoon, and I know just as far as pressure goes, throwing something smaller, all of the shad that they were spitting up when I would catch them were this size and smaller. And, that big spoon's like 6 to 8 inches. And, I know they'll eat it. I know that you can catch big ones on that mag spoon, but I do think in a tournament like that where, there's a lot of guys out there fishing for them, just having something a little bit more finessey, something a little bit normal size for them, was definitely a huge player for me.
That's awesome. A lot of it, from throwing the Nico Rig to your strategy about not power fishing right out of the gate to the smaller spoon. It's really, spells the difference on why you were able to rise to the top in this tournament. And I've got a few more questions, but I want to pass it over to you, Alex, because I know some of our guys watching probably have some questions. This is like, man, amazing ledge fishing strategy. You guys that are dealing with this right now in Pickwick and Guntersville, Kentucky, all the places where this goes on. This is amazing intel. So, Alex, what do we got?
So, Nick, we have a question here from David Gaines on the message board, and he wants to know what materials do you like the best in your hair jig? So, bucktail, fox, rabbit, marabou, synthetic. Are there any you really don't like as well?
Sasquatch?
Sasquatch hair would probably be pretty cool, man.
Nobody else has that. I guarantee it.
No, I've just got this one's a homemade one. This is a buddy of mine, Jimmy Crum. He had a friend of his make them, but you know, he's the guy that really taught me how to throw this thing, and we've caught him really good on Douglas with it throughout the years. But this one's just it's just deer hair. I think it's bucktail, and then it's just got some long. The one thing about a hair jig that I don't like is when they make them, and I'm sure they're good for certain situations, but I hate when they make them and they're only about this long instead of this long, because it just seems like you have to have the right ratio of hair to feather on the hair jig. I mean, it gives it the right amount of fall and the poofiness of it. It looks more real to the fish, I feel like. But this one's just got a couple little quail feathers on either side of it, and then the bucktail that's probably, I'm going to say, 4 inches of bucktail, and then the feathers actually, they're probably more like 6 inches long off of the end of it here, and they're just white. I don't even know what kind of feathers they are, but as long as you have the right ratio of hair to feather, you know, I think is the most important part with the hair jig.
What weight is that?
This one's a 1/2 ounce.
Okay.
And it's got a 4/0 hook in it.
Now the you know, classic technique is you're going to be cranking 5, 6, 7 times. Like you let it. Is that the strategy you were using?
Yeah. Just bomb it out there. Let it hit the bottom, and you want to. I throw this thing on like 14-pound sunline, and just let it hit the bottom, and then you're going to just keep your rod kind of high, not straight up, but you know, reel it and kill it. And you're not going to engage the reel. You just want to hold it and let it fall on a tight line. And when you feel it hit the bottom, just reel it again, kill it. And then you'll feel them just thump it on the fall most of the time. Sometimes you'll actually go to reel it, and while you're reeling it, they'll grab it. But 95% of the time, you'll be reeling it, and then when you kill it, you'll feel the thump. And then you just – and it's important with a hair jig, do not just set the hook like you're throwing a jig or something. Just when you feel them thump it, crank into them and sweep, because I've lost so many fish over the years trying to really dial this thing in. By when I get a thump, just, you know, I'm talking slack on them. You don't want to do that. You want to just reel into them and sweep, and that seems like be the best way to get them hooked on that thing.
Are there any scenarios other than offshore ledge fishing that you put the hair jig to work where it you know, really plays for you? Like stuff that guys might not think to do. Like, you know, you always hear about it offshore ledge fishing, but there's got to be other applications as well.
Yeah, I always have a hair jig handy. I catch them really good on it pre-spawn here at the house, you know, before they're schooled up. They just might be on points or, you know, places going into the creeks that they're getting ready to go back to. And I'll just, you know, instead of going down the bank with a swim bait like most people do, I'll just focus on the points or something where I see some set up. You know, you might have, instead of seeing a school of 20 or 50, you might see like, you know, 5 or 6 up there on a point or something. And if you can get that thing in front of them, they bite it really good. I've tried it in a lot of places. I've caught some on it in Texas when we were on Rayburn. I had a few bites on it. But it's something that it wasn't ever like the deal. But I have caught them on it in several other, you know, places and doing it different ways than just ledge fishing.
It's I would imagine anywhere that there's shad around, it could be an effective tool. And that's a great question, Riz. I wonder if we can use them out in milfoil grass. Have you ever flipped them in milfoil grass?
I have not, but I know there's some guys up Minnesota, like Minnetonka and places. They catch them really good on a hair jig, and I would imagine that it's probably around the grass.
Yes, I think you're right, and I think we've had Seth come on and talk about that a little bit. But great stuff, man. And I want to throw it over to you again, Alex. Like I said, we're talking about ledge fishing. Man, this is pretty advanced ledge fishing tutorial right here by Nick. So what kind of questions you got for us, Alex?
So, Nick, this comes from Kentucky, and we've heard some other anglers say this, and they're wondering if you follow along with this school of thought as well of turning off your sonar once you find the fish. Do you think that helps you get a couple more bites when other anglers cannot?
Yeah, for sure. What I normally do is I normally just put my units at my dash on standby, and I've even at home on Douglas sometimes I'll put everything on standby besides 360 and forward facing sonar. I definitely do think that helps.
Stealthy. We've we've been watching Lee just light it up from a stealth perspective, so that's certainly key. I wanted to go back to your cranking, and we talked about the difficulty of getting crankbait bites. Are you burning? I noticed this has become a real thing with guys that they're using high-speed reels and they are ripping that crankbait through the schools. Is that your strategy too, or are you doing something else?
Yeah, no, growing up, my dad was always like, you got to have a 5-4-1 and crank that thing slow. But, it seems like the faster you can crank it through there and keep the crankbait running true, the better. I mean, if you're beating it off of them, then you're going to get bit. It seems like the faster you can reel it, the better. I mean, on Guntersville, I did have some bites with the Berkeley dredger where I'm actually making a cast to where I'm seeing on scope. And once it gets down there in the middle of the school and I'm burning it, I'll actually stop it and it'll rise up a little bit, and then I'll keep it going. And I had a couple bites. I actually caught 1 4-pounder. I had it right in the middle of the school and I let it drift up, and he just got it really good. So I do that some, but it seems like the faster you can crank it, the better.
Burning it. I like it. And that is a loud bait, Riz, man.
Yeah.
Every time he touches that bait, it's coming through my headset.
It's like getting me excited hearing it. You know what I mean? Because we don't get to do that kind of fishing. We don't get to deep crank. It's like our deep crank is like using like a 2.5 square bill. You know what I mean? We're 5-6 foot, and we're like, dang, we're out here off the ledge, son. But in reality, the rest of the country, they're like, yeah, that's shallow, dude.
Yeah.
So.
Well, those fish definitely get offshore down there. They get offshore at us, but it's relative. They get offshore 2 miles, but they're still only 2 feet deep. But you brought a bait up there, and I'm not familiar with this bait, so I want you to, and you did well with it, is that Scottsboro Swimmer. It's a single hook bait. Just show that to us. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that bait. You said that's a 3/4 ounce?
Yeah, it's a 3/4, and this is a top hook. This is the new Scottsboro top hook swim bait.
Okay.
And it actually has the weight and stuff in the swimmer, so you don't have a traditional jig head like most guys throw it. But it's really good because it stays down, and it just has, I don't know, it's just the feel to it when you're bringing it across the shell and stuff. It really kicks. You can feel it thumping just when you're slow winding it, and I like throwing it in the white, or they have another color called Natural Shad, and it's more of a blue with a little bit of yellow in it. But this is a good swim bait. I really like this one, and I didn't catch very many fish on a swim bait on Guntersville that week. I did catch a handful, but the ones that I weighed in on it, I think I weighed in some day 3 on it, and they got it really well. They were hitting it pretty good, but I just throw this one on a 7.4 heavy, and throwing it on like 18-pound sunline, just with a 6. I do like a lower gear ratio for a swim bait. I was throwing it on a 6.4 to 1 or 6.2 to 1, and you just want to throw it out there and just. I mean, it's almost painful, because if you get to reeling it too fast, you'll find that the swim bait, the faster you reel it, the further off the bottom it gets, and then you can stop it and it'll go back down. You really want to keep that swim bait, just barely off the bottom. I mean, the closer you can keep it to the bottom and swim it right through the fish, the better, it seems like. But it's definitely a good swim bait. And I do like how the hook and the head and everything is actually in the bait rather than being a jig head.
How is the strike to catch on it? I mean, obviously you wouldn't be throwing it if it wasn't good, but I always worry about a bait that bulky and missing fish.
Yeah, you definitely have. Well, on Guntersville, there's tons of white bass out there too, and those bar fish and stuff. And you'll get a ton of bites where they'll hammer it, and you've got to be patient. I take my wife fishing all the time, and she loves to throw a little Kotek, and I actually brought one so I could talk about it and show you guys. This right here is one of the best ledge fishing baits, and people are going to get mad at me for telling this, but this is one of the best ledge fishing baits out there. And this is just a 3.3 high-tech. I mean, you look at the size of it compared to the other swimmer.
That's awesome.
It's a 3.3?
Yeah, it's a 3.3, and I've just got it on a 3/8 ounce head, and I'll throw this on a spinner.
So juice.
But what I was saying was, I'll take my wife fishing, and she'll get bites on it. She wants to set the hook every time she feels. With a swim bait, you really have to make sure that when you get a bite, you want to wait until you feel them load up on it, because a lot of times they'll peck at the tail or they'll hit it. You want to make sure you feel some weight there before you set the hook. But I did get a really good hookup on this bait, which I haven't thrown it. You know, Tim at Scottsboro, he gave me these not long before the Pickwick tournament, and I've only thrown them now for a couple months, but it seems like the hookup on it's really good. And every fish I caught on it had it in the roof of the mouth. And I mean, you know, you talk about a 2-pounder. A 2-pounder may come up and peck at it real hard, just like a white bass, or they may get it up here and not get the hook. But you get a quality 3 to 5, 6 pound fish that you want in the live well, about every time, you know, I mean, they get it. And most of the time I feel like they eat it head first too. So I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I do feel like that they eat it head first. And it seemed like I got a good hook in them. But, you know, something I could do is I could follow up, you know, especially like when the school wasn't firing and I was throwing this guy, I could throw the Kitech in there and slow roll it. And, man, I mean, you catch a ton of fish on this. If I was going to take someone ledge fishing tomorrow and that didn't know how to use a bait caster very well, they could catch, I mean, you catch 20 to 50 a day on this, white bass. And people think, oh, well, I'm not going to catch a big one on this. I've been on ledges in schools of fish before and caught 4s, 5, 6 pounders on this bait. I mean, this one will catch the biggest fish in the school as easily as it does the little ones. And a lot of people don't throw it, but this is something else, you know, that's really finessey that works really great out there.
That's cool. You know, I mean, it's almost like ego. You get out on the ledges, you want your big crank, your big spoon. You know, maybe you think you're fishing for second place, but situations, man, but that 3.3 it's just so tiny. It flies in the face of all this stuff. That's pretty neat stuff.
And that, you know, the finish I had on Pickwick, or I finished 5th, you know, I caught a lot of my fish on a shad spawn early, but then I was going out offshore, and it was, you know, it was late April or mid-April, but there's always fish that spawn early, and there's schools of them that get out there, and I was able to find a few that were already out there. And some of the fish in the school are pre-spawn, some of them are post-spawn, and there's fish just coming and going. But I could take my traditional ledge fishing baits, like the spoon, the hair jig, the crankbait, and I couldn't get any bites on it. And, you know, I think day 2 of the tournament on Pickwick, I picked this guy up and caught like almost 17 pounds in about 15, 20 minutes on it. And that's what carried me to the top 10 there too. But it just seemed like they didn't want a crankbait. They didn't want the spoon, and they're set up just like they were on Guntersville. But for some reason, they wouldn't bite it as good. But you could throw this guy in there, and I mean, that's what I did most of my damage on Pickwick with.
Nice. That's phenomenal. I mean, I see it everywhere too. But you know, we get heavily pressured fish where we're at, and to be able to downsize, to keep them biting. That's a tremendous way to do it on the ledges. I love it. I know we got some more questions, Alex. Let's dive into another one.
Let's do it. So, Nick, we've been going over, you know, the gamut of your arsenal for ledge fishing, and Mark Polsky wants to know, what is your confidence base? So when you've thrown a lot of stuff and nothing is working, what's the bait that you tie on to get yourself back on track?
Yeah. So definitely this guy.
Wow.
Definitely Kitech. I mean, if I'm having a rough day, if I'm not getting them to bite, and all of these baits I'm super confident in. The crankbait, the worm. I mean, I've caught fish on all of them really well, and I have a lot of confidence in them. But if somebody told me I had to go out there and I had to catch some fish, I would take this guy, and I would catch some on it for sure. This is definitely my confidence bait.
That's amazing, and what a neat little deal. Dropping down to a 3.3, Riz.
3.3. It's juice, man. Don't sleep on it, especially on that 3/8 ounce head.
Dude.
And imagine what you can do with it too when you maybe spool it up on like 17-pound test and you put it on a bait caster and it rides a little higher and you can jump it out of cover with real quick shake of the rod.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't give too much away there,
but it sounds like might be Riz's strategy for his tournament this weekend.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully that water cleans up a little bit.
I know we got a big derby coming up our way, Nick, for the Ike Foundation. We're all preparing. We're going to be fishing milfoil grass, shallow water stuff. So it's miles offshore, like I said. But I gotta love some of these techniques because I know the fish that we're fishing for, they're feeding on white perch, big catfish, all the same kind of stuff that you see them feeding on, off the ledges, minus the shad. But we have herring and we have shad too. So we're going to try to steal. We're going to be out there with the 25-foot dredger, trying to run it through a milfoil bed. We're gonna need a hell of a rod to pull that one off, Chris.
We're gonna run through the channel. Get out there off Turkey Point.
There you go.
Long cast, baby, long cast.
I like it. Hey man, you've got you're doing well. You're sitting in 10th. You're leading the ROI. What are you excited about? What's the next derby that has got your attention coming up?
I mean, I try to just be positive and just confident about it all. You got to be confident, but you got to be humble at the same time. I'm very blessed. I really am looking forward to Champlain. If I can survive the James River, then I'm dying to get Champlain. But, I went and pre-practiced the James a little bit, and I've been there before. So I'm looking forward to it too. Anytime I get to go fish a tournament, I'm happy. I love to do it. So I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, the way that place is and title and everything, if I can just survive it with a good finish and then get to Champlain, I'm going to be vibrating before I get up there.
That's amazing. Well, what time of year is the James? Is that real soon?
Yeah, we so actually June, I want to say it's June 16th. Yeah, June 16th through the 19th.
I got you. Well, it was fascinating. We just had a open down on the James, and I've never seen it fish so good as far as numbers of fish and size. Now, I know you're going to be fishing a different time of year. It'll challenge everybody in the summertime. But, I think you'll like it. But you're right. Champlain is just it's on everybody's list as their favorite lake on the planet. And that'll be a lot of fun. So those are the last two. So we got to root for you on Lake Champlain to wrap up the Angler of the Year race.
Yep, I hope so. I would love to top 10 the James and then just go ahead and win Champlain and win Angler of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and all.
Let's do it.
We're going to do our best to see what happens.
Well, we're going to be rooting for you, and I appreciate you taking some time and coming and hanging out with us at Bash U, because you really, honestly, you turned the ledge fishing conversation in a way that I wasn't really prepared for. So that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing. Even your wife's top secret bait, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. You can kill me for telling everyone.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. And if people want to follow you on social media, how can they follow your tournament results?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram as Nick Hat 47, and then just on Facebook as Nick Hatfield Fishing. I haven't gotten into the YouTube game too much yet, but maybe in the future, if we can keep doing good, we might dabble in it a little bit there. But yeah, just Instagram and Facebook, and of course, watch the weigh-ins and watch me on Bass Track.
That's right.
Yes, I love that. Well, we will be watching and we'll be rooting for you. Good luck at the next two events, and thanks so much for hanging out with us, man. I really appreciate it. We're going to be pulling for you, ROY, AOY. See if you can do them both at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to try. I appreciate you guys having me. I really do. It's great what y'all are doing with Bass U. I wish that I had it when I was growing up, and you know, it's great. So anytime I can put out what little bit I know to help other people out, I'm all for it. So I really appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Well, thank you, Nick Hatfield, everybody.
Awesome.
Good job. Thank you, man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was man. That's some really cool ledge fishing stuff. I really realize that it's the reverse strategy, man. It's going in subtle and then powering up versus power. You know, typically, right? You power up first, get the aggressive fish,
Right.
and
Right.
then you play cleanup with the finesse baits.
Absolutely, and you know things are changing right now. It's, you know, the way fishing's going. The game is being changed with the forward-facing sonar and the advancement of electronics and everybody in mapping, Humminbird Lake Master mapping. There's no secrets anymore. So, you know, got to come at them from a different angle, show them something different, and
In a different way, a different
Yeah.
strategy. That's really, really cool stuff. Guys, and then we also want to invite, are you in the market for a bass boat? I want you to check out bassboatforsale.com. Check it out, whether you're looking for a new boat, a used boat, whether you want to list your boat. It's the best place to list your boat, to get it sold. Go check out bassboatforsale.com. And a lot of other great stuff. Go to Aquaview, 25% off. Hobie sunglasses. I wore mine down here. They're in my truck right now, 25% off. I love the
they
Sightmaster.
are great.
The Sightmaster Plus lens, it's the deal.
Yeah, they are really, really good sunglasses. They float and they're comfortable. That's the biggest thing that I've found with those things, man, is they are just comfortable as all get out on your face. And
you don't even know you're wearing them.
Yeah, I jumped in yesterday because it was hot, and I forgot I had my sunglasses on, and I jumped in the bay, and I came up and they're floating right next to me. No problem. You know, if they were sinking shades, we would have been in a world of hurt. I would have been diving down. But the Hobies, man, they float and they're legit. They really are.
Yep. I've got a few pair of sunglasses sitting at the bottom of various bodies of water around the country.
I think we all do.
Yep. And we have 15% off cash and rods for the new icons, the John Cruz signature series. Go check them out. You can get a great deal. And, of course, our signature series promotion is the Rapala VIP program. If you're part of Bass U and you haven't signed up for that yet, you're missing out. Get over there. You can get all your VMC, your Rapala, your storm baits, and a lot more all available over there because you're a VIP. When you're with us, you're a VIP.
That's right.
So we have a Facebook like and share. If you haven't done that, we're going to be giving away. Go do it now. We're going to be giving away a cool TH Marine prize pack VMC Rapala. And we also have an amazing gift that we're giving away as our grand prize today, Riz.
Yep, we do. That's it's going to be a Doomsday Tackle 47 rod. Pretty awesome thing to be getting just for watching a podcast, guys. It's not too late either. If you're not signed up and you want a chance to win that awesome rod, man, head over to Bass U and get signed up. Use the code BULive30, and you're going to get 30 days for free. Try the whole thing out for free. Or you just sign up for your monthly membership on the spot. We'll send you a Bass U hat. Be out on the water looking fresh. Guys, it really does pay off. I've been actually, Pete, so since I don't have TVs in my house yet, I still kind of under construction. I just watch Bass U every night with dinner, after dinner. Just watch Bass U. Literally leave the laptop up and running as I'm falling asleep. So like last night I fell asleep to Bill Lowen's finesse flipping. You know,
what a powerful seminar.
Yeah, great seminar.
Yeah.
Great seminar. It was, absolutely great. But, it's something you need to be. It's something you need to be involved in if you're serious about your fishing and you want to go to the next level. Get on the program, man.
Yep.
Power of information.
Power of information. And we've got some. It's cool. We talked about the seminars, but we're releasing a bluegill eater seminar from Greg DePalma.
Oh yeah.
Which is coming up real soon. And today is Jesse Wiggins' day. About fishing floating docks. If you've got docks on your body of water that are floaters, Jesse breaks them down, and that's what we offer. We got on-water seminars, and we have in-classroom seminars. A lot of great stuff over here. So you let me know when you're ready to give away some prizes, Rich.
Yeah, we're we're ready. You want to start with the Facebook like and share, or
let's do it.
All right, I'll queue up the question, which is going to be for the grand prize, and then I'll announce the Facebook like and share. The question for the grand prize, which is from today's show, you had to be paying attention. What are the first 2 baits that Nick fires into a school of offshore fish? What are the first 2 baits that Nick fires into the school when he marks offshore fish?
Wow, that's good, because I remember the strategy, but I don't remember specifically which ones he named as the first 2. So I don't know the answer to this question. I'm looking forward to being reminded here shortly. So, but it was really that like I said, a lot of offshore instruction going on at Bass U, but that kind of spun it sideways a little bit for me. So that was really cool. And I feel that way about everything. Like everything that we learn here at Bass U, Rich, is like, I'm like, how can I apply that to my fishing? You know, we're listening to these ledge tactics, and what can I do to give the fish a different look out on what I'm doing. And it did remind me of man, flipping those hair jigs into the grass like they're doing up in Minnesota, like Fighter is doing, and a lot of the guys are doing up there. Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we could modify one of those hair jigs with, give it a little weed guard so it doesn't hang up as much in the grass. But I mean, shoot, I'm at the point, Pete, where I'll take anything to start showing our fish something different. I mean, it's, like we were talking about before the show, it's that time where it's like we got to start showing them some different stuff, in order to keep them firing. So
that's what
maybe it's a hair jig, maybe it's a hair jig chatterbait. I don't know.
Maybe it's a 3.3.
Maybe it's a 3.3 Kitech. If you can figure out how to get that thing to run through the grass a little bit cleaner.
Yep.
So
come join us. We're going to be figuring this out together. The Ike Foundation Tournament is going on this weekend in the Upper Chesapeake. I don't care where you live. Make the trek. Come on up. The weather's going to be great. The fishing is going to be amazing.
And it's on a Sunday, too, so you can make the drive up on a Saturday and still fish on Sunday.
That's right. And we're giving away, first place is a Bass Cat boat powered by
Bass
a Yamaha.
Cat Bobcat this year, Pete. It's a bigger boat.
It's a bigger
boat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's so legit. Where else nowhere else in the Northeast are you fishing a tournament where you're going to win a boat? And second and third place, the prizes aren't bad either. They're well worth the trip in and of themselves. So
that's it. I'm trying harder this year.
Yeah, me too.
we got to get that. We got to get that boat won.
Me too, Pete. I hope you come in second.
Well, I'm going to try for first. What a great prize, great event. Gets rods and reels into the hands of kids that might never get a chance to fish or get exposed to fishing. I know my dad took me when I was 4 years old, and I've always appreciated. Just saw Dad. Shout out to Dad, Mom and Dad. Love you guys.
Yep.
They were over eating hamburgers and hot dogs on our Memorial Day picnic at my house.
Yep.
Great to see him. He's 84 years old now. Mom's 80. And, what a blessing it was for me for him to take me fishing, change my life. Well, guess what? Not everybody's got a dad or an uncle that fishes, and this is a great opportunity for you guys to support a group that does that exact thing, that exposes kids to fishing and gets them some gear. And if you can't make the event, go over to IkeFoundation.org and donate, and we will put that money to good use. So, do we have a winner yet, Riz?
Yeah, we do. We have a winner for the grand prize, and that is Randall. Randall won himself a Doomsday Tackle fishing rod.
Value.
Yep. Big time value.
Yeah, it's like $175 value.
Yeah.
We appreciate Doomsday Tackle for donating that rod on behalf of Nick, and appreciate that very much. And thank you, Randall, for being a subscriber to Bass University. And thanks, everybody, for watching. Alex, thank you so much. Are you coming in for the tournament?
We still got to give one more thing away, Pete.
Alex, you making the trip down to see us, buddy?
I will not be able to make the
Come
trip
on.
up there, Pete. I think for me that might be about $10,000 worth of gas to drive
Oh,
up there.
God.
So I'll save my money and come out next year.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Sad to say, it will cost about $10,000 in gas to get down here. But once you get here, it's a short drive to where the fish live, so you don't.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I see featured on one of our Bass University.
The kind you're absolutely going to need down there.
Yep.
For sure. So
You need the big ones.
It's a big bass fishery, guys. And we also had a Facebook like and share winner on tonight's show. Or tonight. See, I keep saying tonight. I got to get used to this daytime thing. On today's show was Dontrell Sullivan. Congratulations, Dontrell Sullivan. You won yourself an awesome prize pack there with some TH Marine products, Rapala VMC. There's some weedless VMC Neko hooks on that table, Pete.
It's a must-have.
That are pretty bad to the bone.
That is a must-have, guys.
They get it done.
Right there.
So,
yep, you need that if you're going to be fishing around habitat, brush piles, grass, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the new releases that are coming out this week, and we've got more coming all the time. Always got some great new stuff happening at Bass U. Thank you, Riz. Thank you, Alex. And we will see you next week with another edition of Bass University Live. See you, everybody.